Hey guys, welcome back. If you're here, that means that you just watched some video examples of first person point of view and then answered the questions in your Google form. Nice work. Now you're back and we're going to continue talking about point of view. Instead of talking about first person point of view, now we're going to be talking about third person point of view. So the third person point of view is when the narrator, remember the person who's telling the story, uses proper nouns like people's names and pronouns that refer to individual or groups, but not directly to the reader. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what this might look like. When we're looking at a third person point of view, remember the narrator is really watching us from the outside, and they are not a character in the story. When it says that it uses proper nouns, like a person's name, that means that we'll actually refer to the character by their name. So if we were reading a story about Mrs. Lardner and her family, we wouldn't see words like I and we. We would see words like Mrs. Lardner, Landon, Kevin, and Lou, because those are the actual names of the people or the animals in the story. We also know that third person point of view will refer to characters with he, his, or him, or her, hers, or she, or it, or its. So instead of seeing things like, I went to the grocery store, that would be first person point of view. The narrator might say, he went to the grocery store. Or she went to the park. Those are ways that we know that the character is not the one that's experiencing the situation. They're just looking from the outside and telling us what's happening. So now that we know a little bit more about third person point of view, we're going to watch two videos, two more examples. And while we're watching these, I want you to pay really close attention to who the narrator is and what pronouns the narrator is using. Got it? Who is the character? What are the pronouns? We're going to start with Winnie the Pooh. I did not really watch a lot of Winnie the Pooh growing up. My son has a book that he really likes that has Winnie the Pooh in it. He's like on the search for a ton of honey, but it wasn't really one that I watched. Leave me a private comment in the Google Classroom and let me know, did you watch Winnie the Pooh when you were growing up? I'm curious. Let's go ahead and watch this example.
Once upon the last day of the golden summer, there was a boy and a bear. The boy, whom we shall meet in a moment, was called Christopher Robin, and the bear was called Winnie the Pooh. And together they had many grand adventures in a remarkable place called the 100-Acre Wood. The grandest, most extraordinary of all their adventures was still to begin.
Cliffhanger. I'm going to leave you wanting more to watch a little bit more about Winnie the Pooh. Let me know what their greatest adventure was. The first question that I really asked you to think about was, who was the narrator in Winnie the Pooh? Was it Winnie the Pooh? No. Was it Christopher Robin, the boy? No. It seemed to be this older man who had a really, really deep voice that was telling us the story. So the first question I want to ask myself here is the narrator, the person who's telling the story, are they a character from the story? Yes? No. No, not a character from the story. Did the narrator use pronouns like I or we or me or us? Yes? No. No, the narrator did not use those pronouns. Did the narrator call the characters by their names? Yeah, well, I heard the narrator say the bear and a boy. So that helped me know that those were pronouns that weren't describing the narrator themselves, but describing the characters. Later on in the introduction, the narrator actually referred to the bear as Winnie the Pooh. And then he referred to the boy as Christopher Robin. So yes, he did refer to the character by their names. Then I need to say, like, is the narrator watching from the outside? Yeah, the narrator wasn't involved explicitly in the story. Instead, the narrator was telling us what he was seeing from the outside. Good work. This is third person point of view. We're now going to watch another clip from one of Mrs. Lardner's favorite movies. If you have not watched this movie, I highly recommend that after you're done with your math and your ELA work to watch this movie because it's so good. We're going to watch this, and I want to give you just a little bit of background. So back in Greek mythology, the muses who we're going to see in this scene were women who were never really there. Instead, the muses were legends that would tell the story through artists or through writers. So artists and writers would be influenced or inspired by the muses and then would paint or write the story. So I want you to take that little knowledge as we're watching this video and think, is this going to be why is this third person point of view? So let's watch Mrs. Lardner's favorite movie. Here we go.
Long ago, in the faraway land of Egypt, there was a golden age of powerful gods and extraordinary heroes. And the greatest and strongest of all these heroes was the mighty Hercules. But what is the measure of the true hero? Now, that is what our story is.
Okay, I have to stop it or I might keep singing and dancing along with the movie because I said it is really my favorite. So I want us to think a little bit more about why this is third person. So we're going to think back to our anchor chart and we're going to ask ourselves those questions. So who is the narrator, the person who is telling the story in this example? You're right, there were two. First, it was this really deep male voice that we didn't see, and then it was the muses. In the movie, the muses, we can see them. So it looks like they are a character in the story. But I want you to think, were the muses there when Zeus was taking the Titans and putting them into that undersea layer? No, they weren't actually in the story. So even though we saw them on the screen, they weren't really a character in the story. Did the muses use words like I or me or us to describe what happened with Zeus and the Titans? No, you're right. The muses were using pronouns like he and Zeus and the Titans to let us know what was happening. So they did call the characters by their names. Was the narrator watching from the outside? Yeah, the muses are telling us, the audience, what happened a long, long time ago. So we know that this is third person point of view. All right, we've reviewed first person point of view, and now we just finished reviewing third person point of view. So you know what to do. You're going to scroll down and you're going to answer the rest of the questions. And I want to show you what this looks like. You're going to tell me the key words for third person point of view. You can rewatch the really amazing Hercules video. I put that in there for you because it's so good. Now I want you to tell me, is it first person, second person, or third person? And then after you press submit, you'll be on the next form of the page, and I will see you in the next one. Guys.